Hi, this is Liliana with Sensational Living for Center for New Medicine. Today I'm going to be making the best buffalo chicken wings you have ever tasted. They're going to have a wonderful little Asian twist, so they're going to have a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of chili. So your friends, your family are absolutely going to love this. So if you decide to do this for the 4th of July, you will be a huge hit. So let's go ahead and start. Now, I want to make it really simple, and so before I used to kind of do everything by hands and put it in here and scrape and do with the ginger, but now what I've decided makes it so much easier to stick it all in the blender and it comes out absolutely delicious, so it makes it even easier. So we're going to start off with coconut amino acids. Now, coconut amino acids are amazing, but they do have a little bit more carbohydrates than, let's say, gluten-free tamari. So I use a little bit of both, but again, I want to use the least amount of anything that turns into sugar so that we can keep these very low carbohydrates so you can really enjoy it. So if you are on a diet that you need to restrict glucose, whether it's a cancer diet or diabetic or weight loss, these are absolutely perfect, and you're not even going to miss 1 ounce of extraordinary flavor for this celebratory day. So let's start out with about 2/3 of the coconut amino acids. I'm going to go ahead and put that in now. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of the gluten-free tamari. Now, I'm using lemongrass. Now, it's really easy to find this. I find this like in the shopping store, like in Ralph's. And so when you can find it fresh, it just tastes so much better. But if you can't find it fresh, I always have this on hand. And so this, again, is just a ground lemongrass, and it's from Burma Spice, and you can get this online. Same that I do with the kaffir lime leaves, because kaffir lime leaves are really hard to find unless you go to an Asian store, and you might be able to get them frozen. But this is a kaffir lime powder. Now, if you don't have this, then of course we can use a little bit of lime rind, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that in here as well. So we're going to use a bit of both. Now, so we're going to use approximately about this in regards of the lemongrass, and you're just going to cut it into little strips. So I've already done that. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this in. And then I've got about a chunk of garlic. Again, it just makes it so much easier to do this. It takes so much work away when you do this. Now the ginger is going to be about this big. So, it's pretty good size right there. And so again, it's organic. You don't need to peel it. Just go ahead and chop it up. So I'm going to put that in there as well. You want to have about 3 cloves of garlic. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. We're going to have 1 tablespoon of some sesame oil. We're going to use about 2 tablespoons of coconut brown sugar. Now, again, it's still going to have the impact of a regular glucose, maybe just maybe a little bit more, I would say, nutrient aspect, but it's really not really, because it's just got molasses on it. So it's about the same, but it just gives it a little bit more of a caramelized flavor when we reduce this down. So let's go ahead and put that in. And then, of course, the amino acids are going to make it sweet. So you might just decide, might not even need that sugar after all. There's a little left in there, so I'm going to go ahead and pop that in. Okay, we're going to blend this up, so it's going to make a little bit of noise here. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and put it in this pan. Now we're going to reduce this down probably for about on low for approximately, I'd say, between 30 minutes or so. It might pick it up a little faster for you, but you want it beautifully caramelized. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat on. Now I'm also going to use this really great Tabasco buffalo sauce. I got this at Sprouts. It's organic. It's awesome, but it's super hot. So really kind of, I say, put a little in and then you can play with it. My family, of course, being Mexican, we're all spicy people. And so we like it to have a little kick. So it's about a 1/2 cup of that. Asian buffalo wings are awesome. We're just going to give that a little stir. And then you're just going to turn it down and just let it simmer while you prepare everything else. Put it down low. I'm going to go ahead and add a little teeny bit of the lime rind. So if you don't have that kaffir lime leaf, this is perfect. And so I'm just going to use a plain and just use the green. Don't get into the pith of the white. Ooh, lime. Now we're just gonna let that go ahead and simmer. I didn't need to use the lemongrass powder because I had fresh, so why not? So now we've got the buffalo chicken wings. We're gonna use about 3 pounds. I'm just doing a small amounts because we're gonna do this in 3 phases so that you can get all of this down in a very short period of time. But I buy them organic, whether you can buy them at Sprouts or Whole Foods or even at Costco. This is where I got this, and I got a 3-packet, which is really nice. So I'm just going to put a teaspoon of salt in there, not much, because we're going to put a little bit of baking powder in there, and that will dry up these chicken wing, these little buffalo wings really nicely. So we're going to put approximately about 2 tablespoons of baking powder. Now, whatever you do, do not put baking soda in there. You will regret it. I did that one time and I wasn't paying attention. We'll add a little bit of pepper to it as well, but this dries them out really nicely. And then honestly, just toss them around, because if you use your hands, they have a tendency to dry up a little bit. So this way, this makes it really nice, where they can just stick there without the heat of your own hand. Let's put a little pepper on there as well. Perfect. So you can kind of see there that they've just kind of nice and little dusted on there. They're not heavily dusted, but just enough so that when we put these at the oven at about 250 degrees, we're going to let them just very slowly dry so that they're just really crisp when we add the sauce on it. So I want you to go ahead and get any one of your cookie sheets, and then you're going to spray it with some coconut oil, or I use avocado oil on it. So just give it a little bit of spray. I just kind of sprayed over the sink, so I've already sprayed this, but just a little spray all over. And now you don't want to crowd these because you want them to be really nice and crisp. So let's go ahead and set them on. I love these. Oh, this is always the hit of the party every time I bring these. So I just got the foil just so that it catches, so it doesn't mess up your trays. Okay. Now go ahead and put it in the oven. So they should be in the oven approximately about maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and then you're going to want to flip them over. And then we're going to do the last phase. We're going to be at 450, so we can get that nice crisp edge to them. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these in the oven now. So I'm going to show you what it looks like after we popped them in the oven and dried them up so that you can get the texture behind it. So you can see that they're not crisp yet, but again, you don't want them to. You want to dry them, and then you want to turn them over so that you don't overcook them either. We have them at 220 for about 15 minutes or so, then flip them over on the other side. So you want to see them a bit dry, so that baking powder should dry them out nicely. Let's flip them over like that, and then back in the oven they go. This time at keep it at 220 for about another 15 minutes, and then we're going to flip them over, and then we're going to have them at about 450. So I'm going to show you the last phase of this, and it's going to be so amazing. You're going to be licking your chops on the other side, I promise you. So let me go ahead and pull those out. Look at how beautiful that is. They're nice and crisp and delicious. So that last 450 in regards to the heat, don't do it on broil because they'll crisp too fast. And so this makes it really nice, maybe for another 15 minutes at the most. You'll be able to see, kind of gauge depending on the heat of your oven, but this is what it looks like. We're gonna put that divine sauce on there. Now I wanna show you what it looks like when we reduce it down. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just a beautiful texture there. It's nice and thick and just so gorgeous. Now this one's gonna reduce down, and that's gonna take anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. I just cook it really slow so it gets nice and thick and gorgeous. So let's go ahead and put these in there. Now this goes really, really good with an Asian salad. Now I'm not gonna be featuring the Asian salad, but I will on another video. And in fact, I think I probably already have one up on my YouTube channel, which is just go to lilianapartida.com YouTube, and you'll see a lot of my cooking videos. So let's go ahead. So the Asian salad I like since I've already got all the ingredients, why not use them for the salad dressing? So I also use the lemongrass and the ginger and garlic and the gluten-free tamari and the coconut aminos. But what I do is once I blend it up in the blender, I strain it. And then that way it's a very smooth dressing, and I mix tahini in it. and it's so delicious. Everybody really, really enjoys that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put these. Just gonna go ahead and add some of this sauce here. And again, you can make this sauce in advance and just have it in your fridge, because I'm telling you, it's a winner. Beautiful. Ah, just gorgeous. Now, I also would recommend that you even toast up some tamari nuts. And if you're going to serve that Asian salad, it's really nice to put those over. Again, everybody always ends up eating my nuts oftentimes before they even make it onto the salad, because they're so delicious. Look at that. Makes me hungry looking at it. Now we got to make it look pretty, so let's just add a little bit of green onions on top. There you go. And again, I would serve this with some of the Asian salad. I'm going to just show you what that looks like here. So basically what I did is I shredded cabbage and a little bit of red bell pepper. So again, if you want to serve this for the 4th of July, you know, I can't get white cabbage, but this is as close as I got, which is kind of a little greenish white. So, and a little bit of bell pepper. So again, if you want to throw a little bit of blueberries in there for that red, white, and blue, that would be fun. But again, I'm always trying to keep the carbohydrates down as low as possible. Then we got a little bit of this beautiful little Asian salad that I would just toss. Now the nice thing about this, it'll marinate really beautiful. So even if you put the salad dressing on an hour before your party starts, it'll be beautifully marinated. So, and it even actually stays pretty good the following day, which is quite nice. Beautiful. A lot of times put them on individual trays. And then I add that little beautiful salad on there for fun. And I'll put like 3 or 4 on here. Throw a little bit of those beautiful tamari nuts on there. Can't go wrong. But look at this amazing appetizer. You will be the hit of your show. Now, what would a 4th of July party be without something tantalizingly sweet and just melting in your mouth like ice cream? But we're gonna do one that is made out of coconut and popsicle sticks, and it's gonna be so easy because you can make these in advance and then you can individually wrap them up so they're just all ready to go in your refrigerator. So we're gonna start out with some coconut cream. So we're going to just use the organic one here, and it's just the thick one. You wanna get the thick one so that it freezes up beautifully. So I use a whole can. I'm gonna make about, hopefully, 8 little sickles. And then I'm going to use half of a can of coconut whipping cream. Now again, it's different from the thick coconut, and this whips up so beautifully like normal whipping cream, but it's dairy free. Now it does have a little bit more impact in terms of the glucose than just a regular whipping cream, because it's not made from milk, but it has just a lovely texture to it, so we're going to use that. So what you want to do is you want to just heat this up, and then we're going to add the Lakanto sweetener. Now Lakanto sweetener is awesome because it only has a 2-carb impact, unlike the coconut sugar that we used for the wings. This is going to be, looks just like sugar, but it's made out of a monk fruit, and it's really low on the glycemic index. And so we're going to put 3 tablespoons in there, but it does have a 2-carb impact. So again, you can kind of taste the sweetness of this before you even, put them into the little trays. That was about 3 tablespoons. You don't really need to heat this up terribly. Maybe just, just for a little while, just to thicken it down a little bit. But again, I'm going to do 3 different colors. Since this is the 4th of July, we want to do something red. So strawberries was my preference. And of course, 1 cup of strawberries is about 9 carbohydrates. So they're still going to be really, really low in carbohydrates. Maybe I would say 6 carbohydrates per popsicle because we are using fruit. Now, if you really wanted to go low on the sugar, you could just use a couple of drops of food coloring. but they're all going to taste the same, and they'll have this coconut flavor, which is delicious. But again, if you are more concerned about a lower glycemic, you can just change the color by using some organic food coloring, which I'll show you a little bit of that too. So we're going to have reset down. Now I've already blended up the strawberries, so we've got about a cup of strawberries here, and so that looks just like this. Now what I did is I added a couple of tablespoons of cream to this just to get it to swirl really nicely and not just be so chunky. So I'm going to just kind of show you with the blueberries. Now, blueberries have a higher impact of glucose, so a cup of strawberries is 9 grams of sugar, but half a cup of blueberries is 9 grams of sugar. So I didn't use quite as much blueberries as I did for the cup. Now I'm just going to really pretty much just add enough to get it to blend nicely. You're going to hear a little noise here. And then again, you don't need to make it so mushy, because it's kind of fun that when you're biting into something that you have a little chunk of this fruit. It makes it really a little bit more surprising when we're doing this. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the mixture that I already have here. Now, if I wanted to add a little blue to this, I could do that as well, but I don't think we need to. So now I've got 2 purees, and then I have one that's going to be just basically white, because I'm going to have red, white, and blue. So one's going to be coconut. But with the coconut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some coconut flakes to it. Now, the beautiful thing about coconut, they're super high in fiber, so they almost negate in terms of the carbohydrates. So I love using coconut in shakes because it makes for a nice flavor, but then again, it doesn't really impact so much on the glucose level. Okay, beautiful. So I'm just going to go ahead and cool that down now. The monk fruit's all melted beautifully. I don't need to put any vanilla or anything like that, because we're going to change the flavor with all these beautiful little fruits. So I would recommend that you cool it down first before you go ahead and add it to the fruit. It's okay if you add it a little bit warm, no problem. It's not that it's going to cook the fruit or anything like that, but I want to have the fruit just as alive and as fresh as possible, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just set that over here for a moment, and then I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like. But I will show you how to fill these things up so that you know exactly what to do. And again, I got my little popsicle stick holders online, but again, any culinary store will have them. And the funny thing about these things, okay, is that you have to take them out of the freezer at least, let's say 25 minutes prior if you're going to serve them right out of that. Otherwise, leave them out any way you can. Run them under a little bit of hot water just to loosen them up, because if you don't, you're going to be pulling on it really hard and may pull out the stick. So we want to soften it up a little bit. They were really hard to get out if you don't do that. So either under a little bit of hot water or just leave them out for about 25 minutes. But I would suggest wrapping them up, and then that way you can just have a bunch of them, and it'll be really easy just to keep them in the freezer and then bring them out, and they'll be lovely. People will absolutely enjoy them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of everything in here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. We'll stir that. And this last part, I'm just going to leave this in there, and I'm going to add the coconut flakes to it. I'll soften up beautifully in there. Now what you can always do too is just taste it a little bit and see if it's just at the right sweetness. As I said, that the Lakanto is quite sweet, so it's not quite as densely sweet as stevia. It doesn't have the bitterness of stevia, so when I do any kind of baking or any kind of dessert, that is what I use, is monk fruit. I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and stir both of these up. And again, my suggestion is to cool it down prior to, would be a good idea. And thicken it up a little bit. So maybe you keep it on the stove for about 25 minutes. But I want to show you just filling them up, what they're going to look like. And then I'll pull out the finished product. But again, everybody loves these popsicle sticks, especially when you tell them that they are super low in carbohydrates. They love them. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it up right in there. I just fill it up right to the top. Beautiful. Just going to do this straight from there. We've already squished up the strawberries, but I wanted to just to see what it looked like in regards of the cup. So I think I'm going to do some more of this because I got a little extra, but I want to get this nice little chunky strawberries in there so people get a nice little surprise when they bite into this. Beautiful. Same with this little blueberries. Left it a little chunky. Makes it more interesting. There we go. I'll fill them up all the way to the top. That way there's no gap. Beautiful. Okay, now all we need is the little finishing touches. I would recommend that you do this overnight. It's just so much easier. Get it out of the way. As you can see, it's super fast, super easy. Your kids will love this. And so this is just a great summer treat to have. Doesn't need to be a holiday. It just needs to be something healthy that the kids can eat and still feel like they're not missing out. And so many of the kids are dairy sensitive, so this works really good. So if you wanted to blend up that the fruit with a little bit of coconut milk, you know, the thicker, the whipping cream one, that's just perfectly well. That's just, you can use that in replacement as well. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stick these in the freezer and I'm gonna bring out the final product. Now, once again, I just already individually wrapped these up, and this is the way I would serve them. When I was in Mexico and we were at a wedding, this is how they served them, but they made them little teeny tiny ones, and oh my gosh, they were so delicious. All kinds of flavors. They had tamarindo with a little bit of chili in it, and then the strawberry ones and the coconut ones, and I thought, oh, these are amazing. So if you just kind of wrap them up like that, they'll be easy for people to unfold. So this was the closest I could get to blue. It kind of looks purple, but I did do one with food coloring, so you can kind of have a look at what that looks like. And that's baby blue, so if you're having a little shower and you got a little boy, this is gonna be pretty for that. So we got one like that. And then we've got the white. Just remember when you leave them out and you got them under hot water, don't overheat them up because then they can melt and get a little unshaped. But they're still gonna taste this great and the same. Can't go wrong with these. You should just have them in the refrigerator for the summertime. They're just awesome. Just when you want that little hit of, I need to treat myself with something that's not gonna throw me over the edge. These are absolutely perfect and they're cool and they're just wonderful for those hot summer days. So look at how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh. Everybody is going to love these and they're low on the carbohydrate scale. So if you serve this beautiful little appetizer along with one of these wonderful little popsicle sticks, they're going to be talking about the 4th of July that they had at your house for a long time. Once again, to your freedom of recognizing how amazing you are.